I know we're celebrating and all that. So, how about that Steve Wilson? Killing some Oliver Nelson.
Not too bad. And
Oliver was in the room. Steve.
Steve.
All right. So, what was it like to play in these sessions based on the voicings in the trumpet section? Is it any different than any other big band playing, like than a normal sort of big band date? Was there anything in the arrangement that was particularly interesting, or?
Well, I mean, I think the instrumentation makes it interesting in the fact that there's 4 trumpets and 2 bones and 2 saxes and 2 French horns, which is obviously not a conventional big band setup. So I don't know. I mean, I think the voicings are they're kind of standard Oliver Nelson, like stolen moments, but obviously John spiced it up in some aspects. So you can tell there's some crunchy notes in there that were not originally there, which
Right.
makes it kind of cool.
Say that. So there's definitely some crunches in there, but with the French horns, sometimes the lower 2 trumpets would be scored playing with the horns as a section, and then at other times it was a trumpet. But it gives I think, a real brassy sound to the whole band with the instrumentation, like Tony was saying.
There was one point where Steve was playing soprano with the 2 French horns in unison, and I was thinking, wow, that's a combination I don't think I would ever write for, but it sounded amazing. I was like, oh, I gotta remember that.
That's awesome. Had you ever heard of John before the date?
No, actually, he sent me an email, and we've spoken on the phone, and he mentioned your name, and he mentioned Dave Ballou, and he mentioned Dave Taylor, and I wasn't really. I mean, it became apparent through our conversation that he knew he was the real deal, and he knew what he was talking about, and the players he talked about, and the folks that we had in common as acquaintances were the right people for the gig, so I knew it was going to be a good deal.
Because he's you're in the shot. I mean, that is so perfect. That's going in. It's like I didn't know him. I didn't know him. He's the real deal, and he's in the shot. Look, I'll get the music.
I have to get out. Let me get out of the room.
All right.
I didn't even want to hear that. Thanks for the compliment.
No, but that was so perfect because you're inching your way into the shot as he's talking. It's like we paid for it.
Only if he was holding a gun.
Like, that would be on SNL. That would be so perfect. Like here, it's like the doctor showing up.
I'll shut up and get out. And
That's beautiful.
once again, thanks for the compliment. I'm glad you're leaving.
I'm just reading the cue card.
I'm glad you're leaving with that feeling.
So that was a classic moment. So what I'm trying to sort out from the band members is, you have Oliver Nelson's music, which you know, obviously, right? So you're familiar with it from previous life playing. And you've played in big bands that have played Oliver's music, all the famous songs. Now so what I'm trying to get to is John's conception of small group with the horns. We call it a big band because it has that vibe, right? And it has the bass, the trumpets. And as you said, the orchestration is unique, but did it feel any different? And if the answer is no, it's okay too. I'm just curious, did it feel like there was, to me, listening, there was an immediate connection of all you great musicians, and it looked like what he was trying to accomplish was happening with the small group priority and the colors?
I think I kind of get what you're asking. Both Tony and I have done tons of composer-led big bands in New York here. There's 100 of them probably. And we both have done the BMI Composers Jazz Workshop Band. So you know, we've played a lot of different composers, music, and arrangers, you know, and I think, at least for me, and I'm sure Tony would probably agree, that upon playing these and hearing these charts, they just make sense. You know when there's bad writing and there's good writing, and there's, you know, sort of different styles. Everyone brings their own unique style, but it just makes sense, and it sounds the way it should be, and so that helps to bring the music really to life. When the arrangements are done properly, it just kind of comes alive off the page, really.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the small group component is part of it as well. It's not just like a wall-to-wall big band the whole time. It's like, it's big band when it needs to be big band, and it's also like quartet or quintet when it needs to be that too, which is kind of cool.
How would you describe, for someone who didn't know Oliver Nelson and who didn't know John Vanore, how would you describe what just happened?
I don't know. I mean, it's not. I mean, they're voicings that we've, you know, definitely heard before, but they're not voicings that we've heard maybe in this context or with this instrumentation before. So I think it's, you know, it's not completely, it's not unconventional, but it's all, but the way it's put together is like, it's kind of a hip thing that you might not normally expect, you know, when you put on a CD.
I think in addition to that, and John was kind of explaining it to us, there's the vibe. I felt that there was a great vibe in the room the last couple of days, and that's partly because, you know, everyone knew that the great studio's closing, so everyone was bringing their A game to the table, and then the music was great, and that the combination of people, we all know each other and have played, but it just, the band, everyone just gelled, and it seemed like it was a really special event because of, you know, the stars sort of aligned, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything that you would like to add that is one little nugget of anything that hit you? It could be anything that hit you across the past couple days. That, I mean, what you said is essentially that, but if there's any specific, like odd, sort of specific thing, that musical, you know, to me, and I'll just, by way of example, knowing John's trumpet man, right? So first and foremost, he's a trumpet man, then he's an arranger, composer, all that. Knowing that he's entrusting what he holds so dear to you guys, and you guys deliver in spades, and to hear it, it's just awesome. So for me, like, as a student, hearing all his notes finally played the right way is incredible. So I don't know if there's anything in that you feel a camaraderie, something different because he was a trumpet man, or I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, for me as a, you know, wannabe writer, you know, kind of a novice writer, who recorded a big band record in this room a couple of years ago, you know, it's a whole different ball of wax when you write it and then you put it in front of people, and people bring it to life and make it, you know, it's like all the stuff that you thought about for the last 5 years or whatever, writing your charts or whatever, that all comes out in a completely different emotional way when you hear people playing it, you know, and bringing their talents to it. They're not just notes. It's not just A and C and F sharp and G. And, you know, it's these people putting their heart into it. That's kind of hip. And you can tell, like, I mean, I don't know if John's done tons of this or if he's done none of this or whatever, but I could sense that with him kind of, you know, the joy that I got when I was doing my thing here. Like I kind of sensed that he was getting that, and watching him conduct and just kind of smiling, and that's I mean, you know, that's what we got into it for, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Seemed like, just looking at him, he was on cloud nine the whole couple of days, you know.
Absolutely. So I say thank you for helping out making it possible for him to hear that. It's an awesome thing to hear all those notes. And you guys did it with such grace. There's a lot of, you know, That's
It's-
basically.
I was gonna add
Yeah.
to that, you know, it's kinda hard when we're trying to get all the stuff down, you know, we heard a few playbacks, but, you know, you were in the booth, so you sort of heard it, but, so we don't really know what the final product is gonna be, so to hear that, it's gonna be exciting for me.
I can tell you that there are
to hear
moments
the whole and
when
really concentrate on it, yeah.
there are like moments when there are sections that sounded as good as any jazz record from the past. There's a moment when Bob Malik's playing, and I think it's St. Louis Blues, and it might have been the song after that, but the Gil Evans-ness of the orchestration with him and Steve, and then when the brass came in subtly, and it was amazing. It was like
Laid
it
back,
actually. I
relaxed
was having
feel.
tears. I don't get tears. I don't get tears about this anymore because of my training from Mr. Ramon. but when you get 8 bars that are stellar, like you guys always play stellar, but you know the difference between, you know what I mean? There's
Special, yeah.
Yeah, those are what I call goosebump moments, and I tell my students, you know, maybe 4 or 5 times a year, I'll get the goosebumps, and they'll think,
That's why we do it.
That's why we do this.
awesome. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Good. Thanks,